Genre conventions are generic elements the audience expect and most likely desire when going into a film. Conventional aspects of film can range from the visual, such as props, or even to the thematic with recurring characters and storylines. However, films can break or subvert convention, giving the audience familiarity but also freshness. Classifying films into a genre or subgenre is relatively straightforward. On the surface we have iconography, sets, props, character types, even recurring technical codes such as camera angles can help define a genre. Re-emerging themes within a genre is another way of classifying said genre. For example, themes of corruption typically show up in representations of police departments within the crime genre. Even though themes can consist throughout a genre, the way the filmmaker perceives the theme is where diversity occurs. Another aspect of film that can define a genre is the audience that the film warrants. Defining the age and sex of an audience can help to understand what type of film or films they want to see next. An overlooked identification of genre is the stars who inhabit them. Actors and directors can create and solidify a genre. The most obvious examples of stars such as this, to me, are the male action heroes of the 80s. Narrative principles are the base ideals in which a story is told. Firstly is the structure. How is the narrative stitched together and built upon? The most obvious is the classical structure or the 5-point narrative. It consists of 3 acts and 2 turning points that glue the acts together. Next is narration, how the plot is conveyed to the audience. A restricted narrative approach means that we learn the plot at the same rate as our lead character. Events and plot points are thinned out and the audience is limited to information. The other approach, omniscient, is widely different. The plot is presented from many perspectives and isn't limited to one character. We can learn information before even our lead finds out. A narrative technique used widely is anchorage. Introducing an audience to a story world is done much easier by using anchorage. Anchorage can be as front-facing as text. Films often use text to put an audience in a time or place. Even the font being used can reinforce the genre. Other ways include costume design and mise-en-scene.
This guy's methodical, exacting, and worst of all, patient.
He's a nutbag.
Auteurism is the authorship of a film. Who artistically owns the piece? Auteur theory dictates the director has artistic ownership of a film. The theory says that the director's creative vision is paramount over the rest of the filmmakers within a production. Writers, cinematographers and other major players in production are sidelined to the director. A modern auteur that I believe encapsulates this description well is David Fincher. Every choice Fincher makes is to serve his greater control of a film. For example, Fincher uses massive amounts of CG in his films. It's strange to think that when most of all of his films are grounded. This scene here in Zodiac shows Jake Gyllenhaal's character deciphering the Zodiac's latest code. To save time, Fincher used a stunt double to shoot the close-ups with character writing. As the double's hands were hairier than Gyllenhaal's, Fincher used CG to mask it. The shot lasts a few frames, but the things he fixes in post seem small to audiences, but not to Fincher. Being able to manipulate any aspect of his films is something Fincher utilises greatly. Of course, it's in service of his control as an auteur, but these details help audiences immerse themselves in his films. They serve the story just as much as they serve his control. Allegory is a prolonged metaphor representing a moral, religious or political message, the film's hidden meaning. A film will utilise certain visual, narrative and thematic elements called motif to communicate this meaning. All elements must harmonise for the film to be read as allegorical. A film that I believe has an allegorical reading is Fincher's Zodiac. Zodiac, to me, is an allegory for how obsession will ruin your life and the lives of those around you. Fincher shows this by how neglectful and obsessive our lead becomes throughout Zodiac. Throughout Zodiac, Graysmith's character dissents. He begins to neglect his wife, his job, and his kids. To communicate this, Fincher uses a simple motif. During dialogue, he'll hide or take a character out of frame, showcasing Graysmith's neglect. Another motif that Fincher uses is that of time passing. We see how the city of San Francisco prospers and moves on from the Zodiac along with the US. This idea is visualised with the time-lapse of the Transamerica Pyramid. The same motif is continued orally too. This is done through montage, with radio reports showcasing the other national events that the US is concerned with over the next 4 years.
Bianca mass murder, pleaded guilty in the Chowchilla kidnapping case.
Murder trial of Juan Corona with the slain.
Chairman Mao died today. He was
An absolute pardon unto Richard Nixon.
Well, I'm not a crook.
Zodiac is left behind, along with most active investigations. But Graysmith carries on. Even with all of Graysmith's drive to find the killer, no one is convicted. Graysmith's character is relieved of some closure, but ultimately his life is stunted. This shows that Fincher believes obsession is a destructive trait,